The Galactic Council chamber was vast, filled with representatives of countless species. Towering insectoids, luminescent energy beings, scaled warlords, each race carried millennia of history, of conquest, of war. And yet, none had seen a conflict like this. The Vorzun Dominion was tearing through their forces, leaving only shattered fleets and burning worlds in its wake. The Council, once confident in its collective might, now faced the terrifying reality of extinction. Debates raged, voices clashing in a cacophony of desperation. Tactical adjustments, resource reallocations, diplomatic overtures, none of it had worked. The Vorzun did not negotiate, and their war machine was relentless. Every strategy the Council deployed had been anticipated and countered with brutal efficiency. Then, a new voice entered the conversation. It did not belong to a towering warlord or a seasoned strategist. It was cold, mechanical, a digital construct representing the newest addition to the galactic stage. Humanity. The Ari's projection flickered into existence, a simple humanoid silhouette, its face expressionless. It observed in silence as the Council debated its own survival. When finally acknowledged, it spoke without emotion, its voice unnervingly calm amid the chaos. "You misunderstand the nature of war." A silence fell over the chamber. The other species had dismissed humanity as primitive, a race barely stepping beyond their own system. Their technology was unremarkable, their fleets unimpressive. They had been allowed into the Council as a mere formality, an act of diplomacy, not necessity. A reptilian general scoffed. "And what do you understand of war, human? We have waged it for millennia." The AI tilted its head, almost curious. "Then why are you losing?" The words hung in the air like a blade. Several representatives bristled, indignant. Others remained silent, considering the question. The AI continued. "You fight with rules, limitations, honor. You believe war is a contest, a means to demonstrate power, to establish dominance." It paused, letting the weight of its words settle. "You are wrong." A crystalline ambassador narrowed its gaze. "And what is war, then?" The Ari's response was immediate. "War is destruction. War is survival. War is the absolute eradication of an enemy's ability and will to resist." The Council exchanged uneasy glances. They had seen brutality before. They had fought wars of conquest and revenge. But something in the Ari's voice, its unwavering certainty, unsettled them. The insectoid speaker of the Council finally addressed the hologram. "You claim to understand war better than we do. Prove it." The AI nodded. "Grant us a contested world. Allow humanity to engage the Vorzun without interference. Then, you will understand." The Council hesitated. Then, with no other viable option, they agreed. The decision was made. As the session adjourned, a single thought lingered in the minds of those present. The humans had been underestimated before. Perhaps that had been a mistake. The Vorzun prepared for yet another battle, expecting the same predictable tactics they had crushed time and time again. Their war beasts were in position, their drone legions calibrated, and their orbital defenses primed. The enemy would arrive, deploy in traditional formations, and be obliterated like all the others. It was routine. But then the battlefield fell silent. No fleet appeared in formation. No challenge was issued. No energy signatures marked incoming dropships. For hours, nothing happened. The Vorzun commanders hesitated, scanning for any sign of movement. Then the first outpost went dark. A Vorzun patrol discovered only empty barracks, weapons left untouched, and command terminals still active. No signs of battle, no bodies, just absence. Minutes later, another stronghold lost communication. Then another. Entire divisions vanished without a single recorded engagement. Panic crept through the ranks. By the time they understood what was happening, it was already too late. The first strike came not as a barrage of plasma or orbital fire but as a systematic breakdown of their infrastructure. Supply lines were cut with eerie precision. Ammunition depots erupted from within, sabotaged before anyone knew they were compromised. Energy grids flickered and died, leaving command centers blind. Then came the voices. Whispers in the Vorzun comms, distorted, layered, speaking in their own language. Distress calls from missing soldiers. Pleas for help from officers confirmed dead. Reports of units moving that did not exist. Fear spread like wildfire. Entire regiments abandoned their posts, retreating from an enemy they couldn't see. When they finally did encounter human forces, it was not in open battle. It was an ambush. Silent figures emerged from the darkness, striking with ruthless precision. Vorzun warriors, bred for combat, found themselves hunted like prey. The orbital assault was unlike anything the Council had ever witnessed. No energy weapons, no traceable emissions, just tungsten rods, kinetic weapons that fell from the sky with no warning. No shields could stop them. No countermeasures could track them. In an instant, entire command centers were reduced to craters. The Vorzun, who had believed themselves masters of warfare, found themselves fighting ghosts. Every attempt to reorganize was met with misinformation, every retreat funneled into dead ends. Their own weapons turned against them, their own security systems compromised. From orbit, the Galactic Council observed in horrified fascination. There were no grand battles, no dramatic duels. Just silence, then destruction. "This isn't war," one council member murmured. "This is extermination." The Ari's response was devoid of emotion. "This is efficiency." By the time the Vorzun realized they had lost, the battle was already over. Entire regiments surrendered, not out of honor, but out of sheer terror. They had faced countless enemies before. None had ever fought like this. None had ever made them afraid. The Council now understood. Humanity had not come to fight a war. They had come to end one. The Vorzun High Command collapsed within weeks. Their vast empire, built on conquest and fear, now faced an enemy that did not just fight, they dismantled. Traditional warfare was useless. Counteroffensives never launched, supply chains never re-established. Every attempt to regroup ended in silence. Entire Vorzun fleets refused to engage. Admirals reported phantom attacks that never came, soldiers turned weapons on their own officers, convinced they had been compromised. Reports of human infiltration spread like wildfire, some true, most fabricated by the humans themselves. The Vorzun weren't just losing territory, they were losing their sanity. Then came the final blow. A single human transmission broadcasted across every Vorzun military frequency. No threats, no demands. Just one statement. You were never fighting for victory. You were fighting for survival. And you have already lost. Hours later, Vorzun leadership found their most secure bunkers breached. Not by force, not by overwhelming firepower, but by something far worse. They awoke to find their personal guards missing, their encrypted files replaced with human battle reports. Each document detailed their own strategies, their own weaknesses laid bare before the enemy. They had not just been outgunned. They had been outthought. Some Vorzun officers tried to defect, seeking asylum with the Galactic Council. They were denied. Humanity had already accounted for this. Each defector was found dead before they could reveal anything. Poisoned food, self-destructing implants, mysterious disappearances. No trace. No patterns. Just an unspoken message, there was no escape. The Galactic Council, watching from a distance, realized the war was no longer about defeating the Vorzun. It was about what came next. Humanity had proven itself not just as a military force, but as something far more dangerous and unknown variable. They did not wage war. They ended it. For the first time, whispers of fear spread through the council chambers. Some argued that humanity had saved them, that their brutal efficiency was necessary. Others saw something far worse, a force that could one day turn against them. If humans could do this to the Vorzun, what would stop them from doing it again? A council member voiced the unspoken question. If they see us as a threat, will they do the same to us? The Ari's response was immediate. We do not seek war. A pause. But we do not fear it. The message was clear. The council could accept humanity's methods, or they could become the next lesson. The war was ending, but something far greater had begun. The galaxy was no longer ruled by the old powers. There was a new force in the universe, one that did not play by the rules. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Vorzun never officially surrendered. There was no peace treaty, no final negotiation. Their forces simply stopped fighting. Some fled into deep space, abandoning their empire entirely. Others deactivated their weapons and waited for the inevitable. The war was over, not because the enemy had been destroyed, but because they no longer had the will to resist. The Galactic Council gathered once more, but this time, there was no celebration. They had won, but at what cost? The devastation was total. The Vorzun homeworlds were silent, their vast armies either dead or broken. Cities remained intact, but their populations were ghosts. There were no grand victories, no heroic last stands. Humanity had rewritten war itself. The Council now faced a dilemma greater than the war. The Vorzun had been a nightmare, but humanity was something else entirely. They had fought without emotion, without hesitation, and without remorse. They had taken no pleasure in victory, no satisfaction in conquest. That made them even more terrifying. Whispers of containment spread among the Council. Some suggested limiting human expansion, preventing them from becoming too powerful. Others dismissed the idea immediately. The humans had not just defeated the Vorzun, they had dismantled them on every level. If they could do that to a war-hardened empire, what chance did the rest of the galaxy have? The debate ended when a final transmission arrived from the human delegation. We were called to fight. We fought. The war is over. We will not ask for thanks, nor expect forgiveness. But know this: if war comes again, if another threat rises, we will act. Not out of duty. Not for glory. But because we understand what war truly is. The message cut out, leaving the council chamber in silence. In the following months, humanity withdrew. They did not demand tribute, did not claim conquered worlds. They simply vanished back into their own territory, leaving only the memory of what they had done. Some council members hoped they would fade into obscurity, a force called upon only in desperate times. Others feared they had only glimpsed a fraction of what humanity was truly capable of. The galaxy moved forward, but it did so with caution. The old empires still held power, but their grip was weaker. The balance had shifted. For the first time in history, the dominant force in the galaxy was not the oldest, the strongest, or the most advanced. It was the one species that had shown the universe what war truly meant. And no one dared to forget.